Now at 5, how a local health department is preparing for the upcoming flu season. Plus, a local healthcare provider gives high school students easy access to TB tests. And a former January 6th investigation committee member reveals new information about the attack on our Capitol.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Flu season is just around the corner, kicking off in October. This is KOAM News at 5. The Newton County, Missouri Health Department has only 1 case of flu reported so far. The health department says it's still hard to predict the flu season, but as COVID cases are down from last year, it might possibly lead to more flu cases. That's because many of the precautions we took to protect against COVID also protected us from the flu. Officials recommend taking the flu vaccine in October as it gives about a 6-month coverage, but also has time to kick in before more cases appear. People can take both a COVID booster and a flu vaccine on the same day.
If you need the COVID booster and a flu vaccine, it is okay to take those on the same day at the same time. CDC does recommend that, and so it's fine. There's nothing to worry about. If you need both of those vaccines, you can get them.
The health department hopes to have flu vaccines in about a week, but some pharmacies already have them available for residents. 70 high school students from 5 area schools are on the campus of Crowder College to get tested for tuberculosis. Access Family Care's mobile unit partners with the college to make it more accessible for the students to get tested and not have to go off campus. Any student who will take clinicians classes is required to get the test. The students are in the health science program through Del Reed Technical Education Center.
It's just a way that we can partner with the community and just serve those that are the next generation of healthcare professionals.
According to an Access Family Care nurse, tuberculosis often impacts low-income populations. Let's check in with Doug Heddy for a first look at the weather.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a great day for us today. Temperatures have been fantastic over the past couple days and plenty of clear skies. Really, nothing's going on outside. We're going to see clear skies as we go through the entire evening hours. In fact, the entire Central Plains look pretty good. So it's pretty calm. We have nice fall-like temperatures, actually very close to where we should be for this time of the year. 76 in Stockton. We're at 79 in Miami. Lower 80s once you get out across Montgomery County, up toward Neodesha, Chanute, down toward Nowata. But overall, everybody looks pretty good. Through the evening hours, if you are going to be outside, we'll slide back through the 70s. 67 by 8 down to 61 by 10. Overnight low, fairly comfortable all the way down to about 53 degrees a little bit later on tonight. Of course, we're going to look at the work week, all coming up here in just a bit.
See you then. Former Republican Congressman Denver Riggleman appeared on 60 Minutes last night ahead of the release of a new book documenting his time spent working as an investigator on the January 6th committee. And he had a startling revelation. Reporter Natalie Brand has more details from Capitol Hill.
Days before a hearing of the Select Committee investigating January 6th, a former committee staffer is revealing new information about what he describes as a potential link between the White House and a rioter on that day.
The White House switchboard had connected to a rioter's phone while it's happening. That's a pretty big aha moment. You get an aha.
Wait a minute. Someone in the White House was calling one of the rioters while the riot was going on?
On January 6th, absolutely.
And you know who both ends of that call?
I only know one end of that call.
Denver Riggleman, appearing on CBS Morning, said the call lasted just 10 seconds. He was asked whether it could have come from the former president.
I would say it's probably not probable, but on the other hand, we don't know what those extensions or those numbers are.
Riggleman, a former House member, served as a technical advisor for the committee, assessing data and phone records before leaving in April.
Without the advantage of the additional information we've gathered since he left the committee, it I think poses real risk to be suggesting things.
That's one of thousands of details that obviously the committee is aware of.
In its first public hearing since July, the January 6th committee on Wednesday is expected to reveal some new information and focus on ongoing threats. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The trial of Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes gets underway tomorrow. He's accused of plotting to attack the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to keep Donald Trump in the White House. The seditious conspiracy charges are the most serious criminal charges leveled against any of the January 6th attackers to date. A gunman today killed at least 17 people at a school in Russia, 11 of them children. Authorities say the 34-year-old shooter, a graduate of the school, was wearing a shirt with Nazi symbols when he opened fire in a classroom. Russian President Vladimir Putin denounced the shooting as an inhuman terrorist attack. It's Russia's second school shooting in the past 2 years. Italy is about to see its most right-wing government since World War II. Giorgio Meloni, leader of the Brothers of Italy party, is in line to become the prime minister. The conservative superstar fiercely opposes adoptions and surrogacy for same-sex couples. She'll also become the country's first female prime minister. For the first time in human history, mankind may deliberately move a natural celestial object in space. NASA will attempt to slam a spaceship into an asteroid nearly 7 million miles away to change its course, all in the name of planetary defense. About the size of a vending machine, NASA's DART spacecraft will be flying 14,000 miles an hour when it slams into Dimorphos, a small moon orbiting the asteroid Didymos. The asteroid isn't heading directly for Earth, but this experiment is going to help scientists prepare for the possibility of the real thing. Still ahead, why economists are saying we should be watching the earnings reports of major companies in the coming weeks. And next in Health Watch, the push to provide more support for new and expecting mothers. Topping today's Health Watch, children who've been infected with COVID-19 show a substantially higher risk of developing type 1 diabetes. A study in JAMA Network Open tracked more than 1 million patients 18 and younger. Researchers found a 72% increase in new diagnoses of type 1 diabetes within 6 months after an infection. Healthcare providers say the United States is facing a crisis in maternal and prenatal care. Advocates say the need has only grown since the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Natalie Brand has more on the push for more support for mothers, including birth centers and midwives.
Camry Gibson is adjusting to life as a new mom. Her son Zaire is just a few weeks old.
Trying to get him to differentiate between his night and days.
Gibson lives in rural Mississippi, where she had to drive about an hour and a half to receive prenatal care.
When I went into labor, they were in a state of panic because it took me so long to get there.
It's estimated around 7 million women in the U.S. live in maternity care deserts, where no hospital or provider offers obstetric services or maternity care is limited, according to the March of Dimes.
And what does that turn into? Skyrocketing rates in the United States for infant and maternal mortality. 60% of those deaths are absolutely preventable.
Assistant Speaker Catherine Clark of Massachusetts has introduced bipartisan legislation called the Babies Act, which would expand access to birth centers and midwives for Medicaid recipients. Getty Israel founded the nonprofit Sisters in Birth in Jackson, Mississippi, to try and address the grave need in her state.
Birth disparities here are the highest in the nation.
Israel is now trying to raise funds to also build a freestanding birth center where nurse midwives can deliver babies.
We've had women die trying to get to a hospital because hospitals are not in the zip codes where they live. We've had women to have babies in their cars. Women have babies at home because they could not get to a hospital.
There's just so much that can go wrong.
Gibson knows pregnancy and childbirth can be stressful enough. She says finding care shouldn't be. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
A pilot program run through the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services found birth center and better birth outcomes and cost savings. Doctors say too many children are dying in accidents involving all-terrain vehicles. The American Academy of Pediatrics released an updated policy statement saying no one under 16 should operate or ride an ATV. Those who do should stay off public roads and never ride at night or with passengers. Hospitals around the country are seeing the dangers of cycling while under the influence. Researchers at the University of Arkansas say from 2019 to 2020, More than 11,000 people were treated in emergency rooms after riding bicycles while high on drugs. The most common, methamphetamine and cannabis. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, why Elon Musk is going to be spending the next couple of days with lawyers from Twitter.
Plus, we're going to warm up a little bit more for our Tuesday. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, it turned out to be a nice Monday for us today after overall the weekend was pretty good. Of course, it was hot on Saturday, and then we cooled down a bit for us today. Clear skies, looks great. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo, Seneca, Missouri. But we're going to continue to have the clear skies as we go through the rest of the evening hours. We do need some rain. We're still having drought issues. In fact, an exceptional drought now across southeastern Kansas and then backing into northeastern parts of Oklahoma, and then extreme drought in the red. It gets better once you get into southwestern Missouri, but unfortunately, we don't have much in the way of rain chances in the forecast over the next several days. 76 Nevada, 78 in Neosho, a little bit warmer once you get into our western counties, Neodesha, Independence, Nowata. Pittsburgh is sitting at about 78 degrees, and as we go through the evening hours, looks pretty good. We have clear skies right now, sitting at 79, northerly winds, kind of breezy, at about 10 to 15. Through the evening hours, we're going to drop back through the 70s, 60s, 50s, all the way down into lower 50s a little bit later on tonight. So a very comfortable night across the region. A little breezy this afternoon. We've had these kind of northwesterly winds kicking in at about 10 to 15. These will diminish a bit as we go through the rest of the evening hours. Clear skies, nothing going on here. In fact, the entire Central Plains looks pretty good. Look out west, nothing. No storm systems heading toward us over the next few days. So let's drop south. Here's Ian becoming a strong hurricane just to the south of Cuba. And Ian is going to be a big story this week, already a Category 2 hurricane, clocking winds at 100 miles per hour. It's going to track across Cuba just to the west of Key West by tomorrow afternoon as a Category 4. And then it's going to take a little northeasterly turn, and it looks like it's going to have a pretty big impact right around Tampa. So, of course, that's going to be a big story over the next couple days as a major hurricane is going to make landfall in the lower 48. For us, we don't have to worry about that back here at home. We drop back into lower 50s later on tonight. Clear skies, nice night. As we go through the daytime hours tomorrow, quick warm up, upper 70s by noon. We should top 84, 85 by the time we head into the afternoon. Here's your day planner, starting at 53, 77 by noon. High temp right around 85. Southerly winds 5 to 10. We get a weak little warm front that lifts through, and then it kind of just washes out as we go into tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. So we're going to drop back lower 50s again by the time we head into Wednesday morning. Wednesday looks great. Sunny skies, a little bit cooler, very similar to today, maybe even a couple degrees cooler as we top out into the upper 70s by Wednesday afternoon. 85 tomorrow. 53 tomorrow night, 77 on Wednesday, 78 on Thursday. Look at our overnight lows, down to 46 Thursday morning, 49 on Friday morning. We do warm back into the mid-80s as we head into the weekend, but all week long, staying dry. We need some rain, and we just don't have any good chances.
We need it desperately. Thanks, Jack. Typhoon Noru has turned deadly as it batters the Philippines. The country's government reports 5 rescue workers died as a result of this storm. Noru weakened a bit after making its second landfall yesterday, but not before officials sounded the alarm for residents to be prepared for dangerous winds, heavy rains. The Philippine National Weather Service says it's the strongest typhoon the region has seen this year. Coming up, how upcoming corporate earnings reports could impact the economy. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Stephen Sanders served in the U.S. Marine Corps. His hometown, Galena, Kansas, and we salute Corporal Stephen Sanders, a 4-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, Elon Musk will spend the next 2 days answering questions from Twitter's lawyers. The world's richest man will sit for a deposition related to his $44 billion offer to buy the social media company, an offer he's trying to rescind. Twitter is suing Musk to enforce their sale agreement. The matter is scheduled to go to trial on October 17th. The Fed has raised interest rates 5 times this year in an effort to curb inflation. Raphael Bostic, the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, said on CBS's Face the Nation the hikes are likely to lead to some job losses, but he predicted they would not be as extensive as cuts seen in past downturns. Huge multinational companies like Cisco, Microsoft, GE, and JP Morgan are expected to release their earnings in coming weeks, and experts say if we want to know where the U.S. economy is headed, we should pay close attention to corporate earnings to find out. It comes as one major company is warning a global recession could be ahead. Reporter Jen Sullivan has more.
Soaring inflation and interest rates in the U.S. and a war and energy crisis overseas. And now, at least one major multinational corporation is sounding the alarm, warning that a global recession could be ahead.
The recession risks are high everywhere, and in many parts of the world, a lot higher than they are here.
FedEx says the weakening economy could cause it to fall $500 million short of its revenue target. The shipping giant says it's temporarily parking some cargo planes and closing offices after demand for packages crumbled. Earlier this month, FedEx CEO was asked if he thinks we're headed for a global recession.
Well, I'm not an economist, but, you know...
you know more than economists. Come on. They just push papers. You actually look at papers.
Well, I think so.
Meanwhile, many independent contractors who make deliveries for the company are raising concerns, saying rising costs for fuel, labor, and new vehicles have made their businesses unprofitable, with some threatening to halt operations on Black Friday. Experts say because FedEx ships a huge variety of goods across the world, it's a good measure of how the global economy is doing. Economists say FedEx is also struggling with a big shift in consumer preferences as the economy opens up and we're not buying as many online goods compared to earlier in the pandemic.
This shift in what consumers are spending on their money on is really having a big impact on companies like FedEx.
But is the slowdown at FedEx isolated? Experts say we'll find out soon as earnings reports from retailers and manufacturers are released in the coming weeks. That data could give investors a better idea of how the economy is doing amid growing recession fears. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Meanwhile, a recent business roundtable survey of CEOs showed increasing concerns with business leaders, saying they're scaling back hiring plans and capital investment amid high inflation and soaring interest rates, while also citing the war in Ukraine and an energy crisis in Europe. If you're looking for a new place to work, acquaintances appear to be more helpful than close friends. That's according to a study based on information gathered from more than 20 million users of LinkedIn. The findings were published in this month's issue of Science and involved data from 2015 through 2019. Researchers determined people you barely know might provide better job opportunities than close friends. The NFL says Rihanna will headline the halftime show at Super Bowl 57 in February. She hasn't performed publicly since the 2018 Grammy Awards. Sunday's announcement came on the heels of Apple Music replacing Pepsi as the show's sponsor in a deal estimated to be worth more than $50 million a year. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, the debate over banned books. Then on KOAM News at 6, details on a crash in Berry County, Missouri that killed a man. Plus, we're going to hear more from the Newton County Health Department about preparations for the upcoming flu season. And Pitt State football moves into the top 10 in national rankings. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Some cold overnights ahead, but not a drop of rain in sight.
No, we need some rain, but yeah, it's going to be kind of chilly. It's going to feel like fall over the next several nights. Warming up a little bit for us tomorrow, 85 down to 53, and then 77 on Wednesday, 78 Thursday. So we get some really nice afternoons. Over the next week, I really don't see a chance for rain until next Monday night, next Tuesday.
That's too long to wait. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.